Imagine waking up one morning to a world without meaning, no ultimate purpose, no divine authority, no eternal truth. A world where the moral compass that guided humanity for centuries has suddenly vanished. For some, this sounds like chaos. For others, it sounds like freedom. One man dared to say it out loud. God is dead. But what did he mean by that? And why did he say it? This wasn't just the declaration of a rebellious philosopher. It was a warning, a prophecy, and perhaps a challenge. Welcome to the life-altering world of Friedrich Nietzsche, one of the most misunderstood and provocative thinkers in Western philosophy. Welcome to the unfolding journey, the place where we explore the depths of human thought, one idea at a time. Whether you're a student of philosophy, a curious mind, or just wondering what Nietzsche was screaming about, you're in the right place. So sit back, open your mind, and let's take a step into the unknown. Setting the stage, a world in crisis. In the 19th century, Friedrich Nietzsche observed a shifting world. The Enlightenment had weakened traditional religious authority. Science, rationalism, and secularism were rising, and the grip of Christianity, particularly in Europe, was slowly loosening. For Nietzsche, this wasn't simply a shift in cultural values. It was a cataclysm. In his famous work The Gay Science, Nietzsche writes, "God is dead. God remains dead. And we have killed him." This proclamation was not a celebration. It was an existential alarm bell. Nietzsche wasn't declaring the literal death of a deity. He was announcing the collapse of the metaphysical and moral framework that had underpinned Western civilization for centuries. In other words, belief in the Christian God had become untenable for many, and yet society hadn't yet grappled with the consequences. Imagine a building whose foundation has crumbled, yet people continue to live in it as though nothing has changed. That, for Nietzsche, was the condition of modern man. Let's be clear, Nietzsche wasn't an atheist in the modern sense. He didn't just disbelieve in God. He believed that the very need for God had become obsolete, and that this loss created a vacuum. His critique of religion wasn't rooted in disdain for spirituality. Instead, Nietzsche believed that Christianity, particularly its moral teachings, had become life-denying. It promoted weakness, submission, and guilt. It turned suffering into virtue and suppressed the natural instincts of strength, creativity, and individualism. In The Antichrist, he writes, "Christianity is the morality of the slave. It grows out of resentment." Nietzsche believed that the Christian worldview elevated humility, meekness, and obedience, qualities that serve the weak, while vilifying power, pride, and vitality, traits of the strong. This morality, he argued, had stifled the flourishing of human potential. The death of God, therefore, was not only a loss of religious belief. It was a rupture in the moral framework, one that forced humanity to confront a terrifying question. Without God, what now? The implications of God's death are deeply unsettling. Nietzsche knew that most people still clung to religious morality, even if they no longer believed in its supernatural basis. He saw this as intellectual hypocrisy. He believed modern society was in denial, still living under the shadow of Christian values without acknowledging the loss of their foundation. In The Gay Science, a madman enters a marketplace shouting that God is dead, but the people mock him. He replies, "This tremendous event is still on its way. It has not yet reached the ears of men." Nietzsche's point? Humanity hadn't yet realized the enormity of what had happened. And when it finally would, a crisis of meaning would follow. No divine purpose. No cosmic justice. No universal moral law. The world would be disenchanted and potentially nihilistic. Nihilism, the belief that life is inherently meaningless, was Nietzsche's great concern. He feared that in the absence of religious values, society would drift into despair, passivity, or fanaticism. In fact, Nietzsche foresaw the rise of totalitarian ideologies, movements that would try to replace the lost meaning of religion with new dogmas. Nationalism, socialism, fascism. Nietzsche didn't advocate for nihilism. He wanted to overcome it. He believed that only by facing the death of God honestly could humanity find a new path. A path not dictated by divine commandments, but created by the individual. This leads us to one of Nietzsche's most important ideas, the Übermensch. The Übermensch, or Overman, is Nietzsche's response to the death of God. The Übermensch is not a tyrant or a brute. Rather, he is a creator of values. He does not cling to inherited morality but forges his own path, embracing life in all its suffering and beauty. Where traditional religion taught people to seek reward in the afterlife, the Übermensch affirms existence in the here and now. What is great in man, Nietzsche writes, is that he is a bridge and not an end. The Übermensch is not a goal humanity has achieved, but an ideal to strive toward. He is the answer to nihilism, a symbol of rebirth, autonomy, and creativity. But to reach this point, humanity must undergo a profound transformation. Nietzsche calls for a revaluation of all values, a total questioning of inherited beliefs. He wants us to examine the morality we take for granted. Are our values life-affirming or life-denying? Do they come from fear and guilt, or from strength and joy? This revaluation is not easy. It requires courage, honesty, and a willingness to stand alone. But Nietzsche believed it was necessary for human flourishing. By killing God, we also kill absolute certainty. But in that absence, we are free to create, not in the sense of whim or chaos, but with responsibility and authenticity. Nietzsche's ideas have been twisted by history. Most infamously, his concept of the Übermensch was misused by the Nazis to justify their ideology, a tragic and gross distortion of his work. In reality, Nietzsche despised nationalism and anti-Semitism. His vision was deeply individualistic, not collective or racial. Today, Nietzsche is seen as a precursor to existentialism, influencing thinkers like Jean-Paul Sartre, Albert Camus, and even Carl Jung. His message is more relevant than ever. In a world of collapsing certainties, we must become the authors of our own values. Whether or not God is dead depends on how you interpret the role of religion in modern life. While institutional religion may be declining in parts of the world, spiritual longing remains. Some find new expressions of faith. Others turn to philosophy, art, or science. But Nietzsche's challenge still stands. Can we live meaningfully without appealing to a divine authority? Can we face the abyss and build a bridge over it? He leaves us with no easy answers, only a terrifying and liberating truth. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into one of the most profound philosophical declarations in history. Nietzsche didn't just critique religion. He challenged us to reimagine what it means to live authentically. And that's what the unfolding journey is all about, exploring the ideas that shape how we live, think, and feel, even when they're uncomfortable. If this made you think, or made you question, then mission accomplished. Backhand index pointing right, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more philosophical deep dives, intellectual adventures, and journeys through the human condition. Until next time, keep questioning, keep seeking, and keep unfolding.